It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Look at the generational stuff. We just brought up a slide that just shows that, look at this. If you look at like the younger generation, the 18 to 34-year-olds, 82% of them do not have wills.
Yeah, and that's pretty remarkable because if you think about how much life happens in those early stages, I mean, a lot of the times by the time you get to 34, maybe you've started a family, you've probably taken on some sort of debt, you've built some level of assets. You have stuff that you probably care about what happens to that stuff when you're not here any longer.
No doubt. I mean, and just look at it, 63% of the people who are 35 to 54, I fall in there. 47% for those that are 55 to 64. And then the last group is retirement age, which are people who are, 65 plus. So at least more than half of those people who are over 55 are planning. But the problem I have is that if you look at the people who are that 18 to 54 years of age, there's a lot of parents in that.
Folks, yep.
And you can see that over half of them are not doing what they need to. So I want to talk about the second mistake we see within the missing the big three is exactly what you've already said, Bo, is having children but not leaving directions of what happens to them. Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to be in charge of the money that you leave behind for the kids? So I want to give you a visual or something to think about. I have a 15-year-old, and I thought about this because when I turned 15 and then 16 and you go get your driver's license,
right?
I know we're both from Georgia. So you remember when you got your driver's license.
Sure
you
did.
went and sat. I remember we woke up so early. It was kind of like we were trying to get Rolling Stones tickets just so we could get to the DMV to beat the line because we knew how inefficient it was.
Right.
That's how it was when I got my driver's license. My wife took our 15-year-old. I kid you not, it was a 4 to 5 hour experience just taking the learner's permit exam.
So just to get there,
and it's
wait
not
in
because
line.
the exam is 600 questions long. It's because there's a lot of sitting on your hands, waiting for them to call you in. So I want you to think, because what hit me was DMV in Georgia was kind of a slow experience.
Right.
We've moved to the state of Tennessee now. DMV experience in Tennessee, not much better.
Right.
So this is not a state-specific issue, but it is just DMVs are not good anywhere, it seems like. They're not built as a customer experience, a good client service experience for you.
So I'm totally lost right now, Brian. We're talking about the DMV and your 15-year-old getting your driver's
Well, think
license.
about it. Who's in charge of the DMV for every state? It's the state government is in charge of every DMV. These same people that make you wait in line for 4 to 5 hours to take a learning permit exam are going to be the people that are going to determine who your kids go to. Because that's what happens. If you die without a will, there's a legal process set up by the state on where the children go, where the assets go. And I'm telling you, if you don't like waiting in line at the DMV, you're probably not going to like the experience you're going to have with how they distribute your assets and your loved ones. That's scary.
And here's the thing, and if you guys are out there listening just audibly, you're not actually in YouTube watching, we have a live chat that happens while we're doing the show on these live streams. Well, a very close friend of the Money Guy Show, Ryan, he just mentioned this comment. I thought it was great. He says, hey, I'm stuck on the whole guardianship for kids thing. It's a really difficult choice.
Yeah.
You're right. It is a hard question to answer. It's a hard conversation to have. But as hard as it is for you and your wife or your significant other, your spouse to have that conversation, imagine how much more difficult it would be if you weren't there to weigh in. You can't speak for yourself.
Put relatives at odds. I mean, that's basically like a cage match between the two different sides of the parents.
That's
that's
exactly
horrible. Right. And then also, I think it also comes back to the money. Who's going to actually decide, who can do what, when, and how to spend? If you don't have guidance, there's always going to be some guilt. There's going to be some uncertainty.
That's right.
It's just a disaster. So don't do that. Here, the money guy take is that you got to make sure that you're planning ahead for those things. Another one I thought was interesting, all my single people.
Oh, yeah.
This sounds like a rap almost. Like I was about to step into a rap song.
Did the Money Guy just turn into Beyonce? Did he just do Beyonce?
No, it's not all the single ladies, but all my single Money Guy family members. You're probably thinking, I don't need estate documents because, who's counting on what I've got? I'm going to leave this thing clean. I don't have kids. I'm not married. What does it matter?
Right.
Well, here's what the problem is. It's not always death. Maybe you are in an accident and you need a healthcare directive for somebody to make a decision, and you probably do have loved ones that you want to be speaking for you, but there's a good chance as a single person that the hospital might not even let whoever you want to be there. They're not even going to honor that they should be there because maybe they're not related to you, or they're not married to you. And then who's going to speak for you on where things should go, or what your desires are if you're not here to speak for yourself? I think it's even more complex sometimes for single people than for people who just have a spouse, because the system just defaults to the spouse.
So, and I can already hear the Money Guy audience literally saying this to us now. Okay, yeah, I'm single, or maybe my situation is super simple, and I know that things in my life are going to change. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to have more assets. I don't want to go see an attorney right now, spend all this money, have all these documents drawn up, and then have to change them. That's okay. We have a solution. We have an order of operations that you should think about when it comes to getting the big three in order.
Yeah, what we talked about is kind of the Money Guy way on this is, first, it's perfectly fine. Now, look, it might not be completely supported legally, but at least let your desires be known. You can write on a sheet of paper your wishes, your desires, sign and date it. Like I said, it might not hold up in court of law, but at least your loved ones will know what your desires were. That's step one. If you're just, I know, here's something I got caught in between. When we moved from Georgia to Tennessee, I was worried. My wife and I were going on an international trip. I had not updated the estate documents at that time. Yeah. I wrote out a really quick, I pulled it down. You can pull this stuff down from the internet, guys. It's really simple. Pulled down a big, quick guardianship thing that I left behind in case something happened to us with an airplane or so forth. But so that's step one of order of operations. You do something as simple as sign and date your wishes. Yep. Number two is boilerplate online. There's all kind of services online where you can just do a guardianship or create the will with the guardianship as some basic, simple estate planning. Just use the boilerplate through some one of those online resources. And then, of course, number three is as soon as you have any complexity or you start having assets in your name that's a substantial amount of money, you probably should hire an attorney. Don't save that penny. What is it? Penny wise,
I was about to say penny wise and pound foolish.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth of the matter. Because when I talk about any type of complexity, think about if you have a mixed family. If you have children from a previous marriage, you're about to marry somebody who's got children from a previous marriage, or maybe they don't have any kids, but still it's going to be a mixed marriage. And the fact that you got previous kids, got large assets, if you got some weird, that there's just your family's kind of doesn't get along, and you know that no matter what happens, somebody's going to be ticked off and probably sue somebody. You probably need to have an attorney. That way, when you're not able to speak for yourself, it's going to at least be okay.
So, mistake number one, you have to make sure you have the big three, and then don't. It's not just a one-time set it and forget it. Make sure that you're continually going back and reviewing them. If things in your life change, maybe there are marriages, divorces, childbirths, other things that happen either with you or people that are referenced in your estate documents, you need to make sure that you update that. So don't let this just be something that sits in the box and never gets looked at again.
And the move, because I don't think I want to say that again. As soon as you move across into a new state, got to update those estate documents.